Hi, I am back in my closet. I'm 3 baskets behind on laundry with Ethan's slippers. And so I thought we could do a hangout session. I could maybe actually get some laundry done and we can chat about 5, maybe 5, I don't know exactly, things that I wish I would have known before I had babies. Not even anything like too specific, but more so just like general conversations I wish someone was having with me so I wouldn't have been so blindsided off the bat. Okay, let me grab my baskets. I also just wanted to say thanks for being patient with me over the last 2 weeks. We have had some difficult things going on in our family personal life, and it has just set me behind on my podcast, laundry obviously, but on YouTube videos, kind of like all of the above. So I just want to say thank you for your patience, and hopefully I'll get back into like a 2 video a week cadence from here on out. Let me find my coffee. Okay. The first thing that I wish someone would have at least talked to me about before I had kids is, drumroll please, postpartum rage. I've always heard about postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, had no idea about postpartum rage until I found myself feeling like I was about to burst into flames over like little things that maybe usually wouldn't bother me. And I started to feel like I was very, very insane. I talk about postpartum rage a good bit on my channel because it is something that I still find myself kind of dealing with from time to time. So if you'd like, I can make another video about like kind of like tips and tricks. Obviously therapy is very important, but things that I've picked up over the last couple years that kind of help me stay level or come back down. So let me know if you want to see a video about that. Found for me, it even started happening in pregnancy, which I think is something we joke about, like, haha, like the woman when she's pregnant, like maybe she's a little snippy to her husband. And like, I think all of that is normal, but I really think it's something that more people need to be talking about because like I said, I felt like I was going insane the first time I really started to feel that. I specifically remember being postpartum with I think it was my second, although I had this with both kids, and my husband had not gone to the gym for a few weeks after we had our baby, just like out of solidarity with me because working out is like a big part of how I manage my mental health. And after a baby, I couldn't go to the gym. And so he took time off just out of support. But about 3 weeks later, we had to go back to the gym, and I totally supported that because he needs to go to the gym for his mental health also, right? Whatever. But I remember him going to the gym and me being at home, maybe still in a diaper, maybe not, and sore, like bleeding nipples, exhausted, not recognizing my body, and watching my husband go to the gym when I still couldn't leave because I was on like that 2-hour nursing / pumping schedule. The rage that I felt in that moment, I pictured myself like burning the entire house down, pushing his head through a wall, just things that I've never really thought about him before because I truly am married to like the most wonderful man and the most supportive husband and dad. But in those moments, it's like, I will fucking kill you. I think the biggest thing in terms of our relationship is just me being able to tell Ethan, I'm so fucking angry right now at you, but it's not your fault. You haven't done anything. I just don't know what to do with these feelings, and you're here and like you're gonna get it. I remember him saying like, I can take it. If you need to be mad at someone, you can be mad at me. Like, I'll take it. And I think a lot of it also relates to, as a woman, we go through so much of the physical, emotional, hormonal, spiritual, mental changes that comes with pregnancy and giving birth. Breastfeeding, your body changes, you're bleeding, you don't recognize yourself, you have these giant engorged boobs. And men, although they do go through, you know, a change when they become dads, and it definitely is a life change for them too, it's not the same. And I think that anger of feeling like it was really unfair, I'm just going to be honest, I loved being pregnant, but I still was angry that it was me who was the one going through these things. Postpartum rage, it's a bitch. I think it also has a lot to do with feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated, sleep deprived. That'll make you really angry. But again, let me know. I can make a video talking more about that too. Thing I wish someone would have just sat me down and told me, although maybe these are things that like you just can't really understand till you go through it, but every baby is so different. And I know that sounds really, really obvious, but trying to understand that there is no normal for babies is so hard when you're in that postpartum. Am I doing everything right? Is my baby sleeping enough? Are they gaining weight? Like, are they reaching their milestones? Like, I'm comparing myself to everyone else. When you're in that stage, it can be really, really hard to remember that. And of course, there's some like medical baselines that you should be paying attention to with your doctor. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about all the other little stuff, because especially with social media, if you do have mom friends, which I didn't, but with social media, it's really, really easy to start comparing your baby to other babies. I'll give you an example. I had my first, and we did the wake window, like sound machine, tracking her sleep thing, and she was sleeping through the night. I don't remember it exactly, but I remember it being like really, really early. Like, and I felt like I was the reason that she was sleeping through the night. Had our second baby, I did all the exact same things, same wake windows, same schedule, same dream feed, and that sweet girl did not sleep through the night till she was about 3.5 years old. It was really infuriating because I felt like if I was doing XYZ, then my baby should do this, and that's just not the case. Like, some kids are going to be great sleepers, some just aren't, and there's no point comparing yourself. I even remember when I had my first, getting so angry because I had a friend who, one, could pump way more than me, which I'll talk about that in a second. But her baby would drink like 8 to 10 ounces a bottle, and mine was like wouldn't drink that much. And I remember being like, oh my God, like, is my baby gonna be malnourished? Like, is my breast milk not good enough for her to want to drink more? Like, just really insane things now that I'm saying it out loud. What for what? Like, my baby was fine. Part of that is a really good lesson in letting go of control, which is one of the hardest parts about motherhood, which I will also talk about. I kind of touched on this a little bit, and take this with a grain of salt because my youngest is now 3. So I'm very much removed from the early baby schedule, bottle, nap phase. Well, maybe it is a lot easier for me to say this now that I'm removed. I have no idea if I was someone who was tit deep in that phase, if I would listen to me now. Does that make sense? So just like take that with a grain of salt. I wish I could go back and give my postpartum self just a hug, because the way that I was so fucking obsessed with sleep schedules, with how much my baby was eating, with wake windows, was very unhealthy in hindsight. Now, in the moment, I think I was just trying to grasp onto anything that I could control, because part of having a baby and becoming a mom is you lose control over a lot of things, and you just have to learn how to go with the flow, like let go of having that control, obviously. And so being able to control schedule wake windows, as someone who was always a very scheduled, like I'm an engineer person, felt very what's the word, like productive for me. I stressed about it so much, to the point where if my kid was going down for a nap 10 minutes later than normal, I would be so preemptively stressed, thinking that our nighttime sleep was going to be totally fucked up. And again, I'm saying this in hindsight. When you're in the moment and you're so sleep deprived and you're holding on to like anything that you can get or control, I totally understand, because if someone skips a nap or doesn't listen to your bottle feeding schedule or whatever, you're the one that has to deal with it in the middle of the night. Like, I totally get that. But I really wish I could have just kind of been a little bit more of a go with the flow mom. I don't know, or at least have had it in the back of my mind that, hey, if you skip a nap, the world's not going to be over. This same concept also applies to breastfeeding. And breastfeeding was really important to me. I think no matter how you feed your baby is great, whatever is best for you and the baby, period. Okay? That's my thoughts. But, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, with my first, I remember going to work, and I went back to work, right? And I had to pump. I remember bawling in the pumping room because, like, I'm talking sobbing, because I was only getting like an ounce each time when I pumped. I just never had a giant supply where I could pump and get full bottles. Like, failure that I felt seeing, I had a girlfriend who, like I said, could pump 5 to 6 ounces each tit every time. Okay. And I just remember comparing myself to her and getting so obsessive with the ounces and tracking how much I had in the freezer, which again, I understand is important, but to get so like OCD about it. And then I was weighing my baby before and after every feed to make sure that she was like, to see how many ounces she was getting off of me. And if she was only getting 2 ounces, like then I had to pump because I wanted to get to net 4 ounces, like every feed, like supply and demand. Hours crying over that. I even went to lactation consultants who were like, girl, like you're fine. She's drinking, she's growing. And she did have some growth problems. I remember I went to one doctor appointment and they told me like you should consider supplementing, and I cried the entire way home from that appointment. I remember why, right? Like I cried because I felt like I was failing my baby. What we ended up doing was supplementing her with bottles and formula eventually, and then I was still able to nurse. Like we just did both, and it took the pressure off of me. I still had that connection. Didn't feel like as much of a failure anymore. And again, it's just another one of those things that I hyper focus on. That is something that is just part of my personality trait, is I am going to hyper focus on things when I can so that I can feel some sort of normalcy and control. And part of becoming a mom is learning to let go of that control. And I think that was just a lesson I had to learn, but I wish someone could have just been in my ear before I had a baby. Do not spiral into stressing about the ounces of breast milk that you're producing. Just crazy, like the tricks your mind plays on you. I almost feel like my brain was constantly searching for ways that I was failing. Why would you do that? Ways that I felt like I was falling short to bring to my attention because I needed something that I could like fix and have control of. The next thing I wish someone would have talked to me about is the emotional whiplash that comes with parenting. And I think you maybe get a little bit more of this when your kids get a little bigger, but even when they're babies, you will go from sun is shining, the stars are aligned, like everything is perfect in the world. You feel like the best mom, like your baby is the best. It's like that full sunshine moment, to how far the opposite direction you swing when everything goes to shit within seconds, right? And especially with my kids when they're toddlers, like things will be going so good. We'll be having an outing. The birds will be singing. Like I'll be looking at my kids playing and just thinking like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. Like what a perfect day. Within seconds, not even like milliseconds, we are like drinks are down, we are football carrying those kids out of the restaurant or out of the store, like shaking our heads, feeling totally defeated, like, oh my God, what the fuck did we just do? Like, how did things explode so quickly? And that is just a hard thing to get used to. And again, I think it goes back to not having control. You can't control their emotions, right? Like you can't control how they're going to react to things. You can't control when the next breakdown's coming. All of these are really just a lesson in learning to let go and go with the flow as a mom, but it's really hard. Okay, I knew that I would have tough times as a mom. Obviously, like I'm not totally naive, but I just didn't realize how quickly they were going to be back to back to back. Like to go from so good within seconds to swing the other way to feeling like totally like beat down and all hope is lost. And then seconds later when your toddler melts into you, like you swing the opposite way. It's just a very much like whiplash situation. And it almost leaves me feeling anxious because like I never know what's going to come next. Okay, another thing that I did not know was going to be such a huge part of my motherhood journey was intrusive thoughts and overall anxiety. I've always been kind of an anxious person. I guess I've always kind of had intrusive thoughts, but nothing like after my kids were born, and suddenly every single night I'm picturing us on the Titanic. Would I be trying to save them? Would I just be tucking them in and reading them a book like in the movie? Like, oh my God, it is so all consuming. And it's really interesting because when I talk to my husband about it, he's very like sympathetic and he listens and he understands, but he's like, just don't think about it. And I'm like, well, don't you ever think, like, especially with like everything going on in the world, I'm like, don't you ever think like scary thoughts about the kids? And he's like, yeah, if I catch myself doing that, I just choose not to think about it. We'll get in bed at night. He will be just snoring within the first 30 seconds that we lay down, and I am still laying there thinking about how I would get my kids out of a car if we went off a bridge and went underwater. Those are the very G-rated ones, if I'm being totally honest. I'm not going to share my horror movie intrusive thoughts with you because I don't want to put any more in your brain, like, right? I think we're all kind of have like a silent agreement we're not sharing our worst ones. Especially when I'm newly postpartum, those thoughts are so real, like you hear the sounds of what's happening. Like you visualize these really, really dark things. And I know that some of it to a degree is normal. Like I think all moms get intrusive thoughts to a point. And if it ever starts becoming debilitating or too much, then to at least talk to a therapist about it, which, oh my God, why is therapy so hard? So hard to find someone you jive with. It's so expensive. It's hard to find someone who your insurance meshes with. I am not the right person to give you advice on intrusive thoughts because it's still something that I really struggle with. I just know people have always told me if it starts to get debilitating or if it's really stopping you from doing things, like if you don't want to go for a walk with your baby because you're afraid of something happening to the stroller. I also, more me problems. I struggle with magical thinking and postpartum OCD. I don't have it nearly as serious as some moms do, but I definitely have the thoughts like, okay, if I don't kiss my baby 3 times on her cheek and say this exact sentence before bed, something bad's gonna happen in the middle of the night. Or I feel like if I delete photos off my phone, like I'm putting bad things in the universe. It's very much like a negative magical thinking. Like if I don't, or if I do XYZ, then X will or won't happen. You know, like when you go to throw trash in a trash can and all of a sudden your brain's like, if you missed, your whole family's gonna die. Like just dumb shit like that, but tenfold because it's applied to my kids. I think part of it is because, this is gonna sound cheesy, but the way that you love your kids and your baby, it's so like deep and profound and terrifying because you literally take a piece of your heart that's usually inside and you just like chuck it out into the universe and you're like, well, I guess whatever happens, happens. And it's very, very vulnerable and scary to have a literal piece of you walking around or being a baby, whatever, outside of you where you can't protect. And it's, like I said, a very vulnerable, it's just a terrifying, not a good feeling. And just, you're not crazy, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. You're not crazy. A lot of us get them. You're not a bad mom because you're thinking about these insane things that could happen. Just keep an eye on it, and if it starts to be too debilitating, maybe talk to someone. Another thing that I wish someone would have told me before I had kids is that communication with your husband is the number one most important thing that you can implement after you become parents, at least for us. We definitely went through some roommate stages after you have kids. I think that's all totally natural, and I think the roommate stage gets a bad rep, but literally just working through a new stage of life together, and you're figuring out your new dynamic and how to adjust your relationship to mesh to this new stage of life. Biggest thing that has saved us and has made us still a really, really strong couple is because of our communication. We did long distance for 3 years, I think, before we got married. And I think that really like forced us to learn how to talk to each other because you can't just rely on body language. We're absolutely not perfect. I still find myself not communicating a lot or not explaining something to him. But even just like I said earlier, being able to say, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad at the situation. We haven't slept in 2 weeks. Like, I'm just fucking pissed. But I don't have anywhere to direct this anger. I think that really, really helps. I feel like a lot of people say that your relationship ends after you have kids. And I find that to be the complete opposite. Like, I am more in love with my husband today than I ever have been, and it's because of everything that we've gone through. 2 different postpartums, you know, having 2 kids, it's made us much stronger. We've learned new tools and we've had to like adjust or learn different ways to communicate, prioritize our time differently over the last 6 years. And it's obviously not perfect, but I think just the fact that we're always both willing to, even if we may not do it at first, come back and communicate and be like, hey, you're making me feel like this, and say like, hey, when you did this, it made me feel like this. And I know that wasn't your intent, but that's how I'm feeling. And being able to, like I said, communicate that is huge. Our relationship has definitely changed in the facts that we don't have as many like big moments anymore, right? Like before we had kids, we were going on like weekly date nights, probably more than that actually, or going on like last minute trips, places. Like everything felt very romantic and big almost. And the beautiful thing about having kids, at least for us, is that I have found that same feeling of like romance and like that warm, mushy feeling from the smaller things. And that's not to say that my expectations have lowered with us, or anything. I think it's just really cool how it reframes your perspective on what matters and what doesn't matter. And I think it's really cool that we have such a newfound like appreciation and love for each other at a base level that doesn't need any of the flashy stuff. But I attribute it a lot to communication. Which is hard. It's hard when you're tired. And again, take all of this with a grain of salt because I am out of the zombie sleep deprived phase. I am sleep deprived phase. My sleep's not consistent, but it's way better than it was. So I feel like I can say a lot of this stuff looking back that maybe I wouldn't have been able to say like in the moment or even like be open to listening to. I could probably do a million more of these. I could do one specifically about going from 1 to 2 kids or specifically about like rage or anxiety, like I said. So if that's something that you're interested in, please just let me know. Any excuse for me to sit down and actually get my laundry done, and I'm here. Please like, follow, subscribe, all of the things. Leave a comment below just to say hi, and I will talk to you next time.